And welcome again, everyone, to another edition of the BIS Podcast, broadcasting live on the Marvin Network. Now, a couple of months ago, we talked with Sterling Harris here on the podcast, and for you today, we have part two of that conversation with Sterling as he'll discuss his great grandfather and a little bit about his family history. So sit back and enjoy our part two conversation with myself and Drew Whittington chatting with our own Sterling Harris of interesting Texas history.
Growing up in Hays County, Reese Butler settled there. His family settled his family there in Hays County in 1845. So it was still, basically a republic. But he settled over here by Driftwood, Texas, and he had purchased land out of the William Barrett Travis Survey, which was a land grant that was provided to the Travis heirs, from the Battle of the Alamo, of course. So that land script, you can look up these land grants, and this was like a league, 4,000 acres or 4,000 acres of land. But he had purchased this tract here on the Onion Creek. So there's our cemeteries there, family cemetery there, and my family's all buried there, of course. But Reese was quite a character. There's no doubt about that. If y'all would like, I can go ahead and read this article that was written, and it came out of a transcribe from Frank Berthold from the book Tales of Old Time Texas by J. Frank Dobie, University of Texas Press. J. Frank Dobie is a writer in Texas that did a lot of cool stuff. He was from South Texas, and he wrote a lot about longhorns in Texas and the ranching and stuff. But anyway, this was a fun book, evidently. So they pulled this out of there, and if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read this. And it basically tells the story.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And it begins this way: the Indian who, as a favor, tells a secret of hidden gold, not obligated to prove anything. I'm not either. In 1941, I helped Mr. J.D. Talley celebrate his 88th birthday in Austin, Texas. He was a refined old gentleman of marked neatness and did not look or talk as a cowboy, and had ridden the open range and trailed longhorns to the wild cow towns of Kansas, supposed to look and talk. That evening he told his tale. When his people moved to Hays County, the county of beautiful San Marcos River, in 1870, they became neighbors to an old rancher named Reese Butler, who had been on the frontier for a long time. He ran cattle, farmed, hunted whenever he wanted to, and was a blacksmith, carpenter, and a furniture maker, and could do anything. He made a wagon out of bodark wood he got off the Red River. He made fiddle keys out of wood of Mexican persimmon. He made charcoal from the forge in his blacksmith shop out of mesquite wood. He claimed the mesquite charcoal produces a hotter fire than cedar charcoal, which was more commonly used. He made crucibles from clay found on the Colorado River near Austin. Reese Butler had fought the Indians, but he had also been friendly to some of them. And one time, an Indian whose life he had saved guided him to a deposit of silver and gold ore somewhere in the Llano River country, where the lost San Saba mine is sometimes placed by hunters who can't find it on the San Saba. About once a year, Reese Butler would yoke his 6 oxen to his homemade homemade board wagon and pull it along. A month or so later, he would come back with a heavy load of black-looking ore. What he did with it was no secret, but the place where he got it was. One time, a man tried to follow him, and the man did not come back.
Oh.
He would unload the ore from his blacksmith shop and pound it into small pieces no bigger than acorns. place them in one of his clay crucibles, and then use his bellows and mesquite charcoal to melt the metal. The extract from the wagon load of ore would amount to a hunk about as big as Reese Butler's two burly fists. It was mostly silver, but anybody could see streaks of gold in it. This hunk of gold, 10 silver, he would take to Austin and sell it to a jeweler named Bond. In the course of nature, Reese Butler died, and with him died all the knowledge of the ore deposit shown by one Indian to one white man. And this was transcribed from Frank Berthold, the book of Tales of Old Timers from J. Frank Doty's University of Texas Press. The 1880 census of Austin, Travis County, Texas, lists a jeweler named Adolph Bond, a German immigrated to America. He married Melva and had 3 children, Lena and Gustave and Emily. And then 1900 census shows his son Gustavo and his wife Kate, and son Alpha. So what it's saying is that there was definitely a jeweler in Austin where he was selling his silver to.
That is so cool. And now that is awesome. Reese Butler was your how many grandfathers?
Great-great-grandfather.
Great. Wow.
Yeah.
Drew, I'm telling you what, this is some history.
Man, I love it.
I'm not just talking about past history. I'm just talking about history in the making. I mean, wow.
Yeah. So my great-grandmother her name was Sarah Sally Butler Harris. So that's where I come from.
That is so neat. I told you, we have a legend among us.
We do have a legend among us.
Sterling Harris.
I mean, sir, we do appreciate you. We just absolutely enjoy learning more about your family and all about, what you've done here for, at BIS, at, where you started and now at, and still helping us out and going and traveling. So, before we kind of dip off here, Sterling, what's one thing that now that you've come, your time here at BIS, as, this is, about the BIS podcast, we're learning about Texas history. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, at your time here at BIS, what have you kind of gathered in your experience here?
Well, it's just it's a wonderful opportunity since we serve these rural Texas county appraisal districts. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet those folks and build those relationships with them, and just learn a lot about what they do every day. These smaller appraisal districts are, they have different challenges, and a lot of it is they don't have staff, they don't have the funding, and BIS is trying to fix that, that and try to help them. And so that's what I love about being able to work here, is really bringing technology, to these rural districts and trying to help them out. And I have a passion for it, and culturally I can speak with them and understand where they come from. I can have conversations about farming and ranching and anything they want to talk about. So that, you try to have an icebreaker to get in there to visit with people and, and see what we can do for them. So that's the great thing about working here. It's been fun. And then working with a great team, that's the thing. I had tremendous support, from BIS, from the staff and everybody around me. And I really appreciate that opportunity.
Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to part 2 of our conversation with Sterling Harris, and what an interesting bit of history he had to share. And that will wrap things up for the podcast here today. Again, this is the BIS Podcast, broadcasting live on the Marvin Network. I'm Josh Green, and until next time, so long and goodbye.